Hey guys, Luke C here with TFBTV Showtime. We're back here at GunCon 2025 in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. I'm here with Josh from Extar USA, the most American cheap gun company, cheap budget gun company. What would you guys call yourself? Affordable gun company out there. So Josh, you guys of course make the Extar EP10, which is an almost entirely polymer 9mm, I guess like large format pistol or carbine if you get the carbine version. You guys have a few variants that have just been released recently. So why don't you tell us about those?
Absolutely, yeah. So the EP9's been our biggest seller, our kind of claim to fame. We released the carbine model when all the brace situation was happening. So now we have that option. Yeah. And then I think in 2023, we released the EP45. And now we're expanding the large format with the EP10, 10mm auto later this year.
God's caliber, finally.
Yes.
So let's talk about that really quick. You know, the EP9, like we just said, is very well known for being an almost entirely polymer gun. We talked a little bit about it at the range the other day, and you know, some engineering challenges or like misconceptions that a lot of people have about it. When it comes to making a 10mm like large format pistol, or if you're going to SBR PCC, something like that, what kind of trouble or struggles did you guys run into kind of adapting this from relatively low pressure 9mm and 45 ACP to something much spicier?
Absolutely. So, well, a little backstory is actually the EP9 was the first one we released, but this platform was designed around 45.
Okay.
That's why there's no difference in like the external dimensions of the firearms.
It's all the same size.
They're all the same size. So that's why our upper has kind of a raised rail. You don't need an optic riser if you don't want one, is to get that extra mass.
Right.
So for the 10mm specifically, it's all because of the mass. You need for blowback sufficient. So we're at 34 ounces.
So this quite heavy.
Quite heavy. Like that, and that's why we need the lightweight frame.
Yeah.
And that's what we were discussing yesterday is with our smoothing system, we have sufficient mass and then our recoil damper in the back, which is going to smooth out the system, slow it down, easy return. You don't need steel or aluminum frame, something with extreme strength to hold it all together while your bolt is flying around if you're just controlling that operating mechanism, making it smooth.
Right. And then kind of diving into the materials of the EP series in and of itself, we talked again a lot about polymer, but it's not all the same polymer. You guys are selectively using more durable, stronger, probably more expensive materials in certain parts of the gun. Is that correct?
Yes. So that's what sets us apart is a lot of people see the polymers. And I think what happens a lot in this industry is companies, we saw it happening in the 80s, 90s where they're like, oh, this is new technology. How can we, use
incorporate
this?
It, right.
With us, our background came from mold making and polymers. And then the owner said, how can I bring this to the firearms world? Which he, at the time, was doing competition shooting and all, really loved it.
Yeah.
So there's extreme consideration. We have about 6 different materials on the firearm. Some parts need to be rigid. Some parts need to be able to flex.
Okay.
That's the beauty of it. I can't go over the blends, but we use engineering grade materials past military grade. These are very premium, very high dollar per pound polymers.
Right.
We're of the opinion, looking at the others out there, no one is using as expensive of polymers as we are.
Right. And we kind of talked about this. You guys are able to do this. And this is a word I love using because I learned it while I had a real job in the real world. You guys are almost entirely vertically integrated, meaning you produce almost all of your own parts and components. Can you walk us through that real quick? Because all of the EPs basically use the same parts and materials right down to the trigger group.
Yes, sir. Yeah. What happened with that, when we first launched the EP9, there were some more things we were outsourcing, but people really gravitated to that price point. So COVID happened. That was when we got some of our biggest surge in popularity. And we realized the market's changing, costs are changing. We need to bring everything in so that we're not raising our price. We can keep it the same, but we're able to make things more affordable for us. The other issue was, so at that point, that's when we started making our own magazines for the 9mm. We started making our own grip. So that saves us a good amount of money. And then the other thing was after the whole brace shenanigans in the past couple of years, we wanted to make a 16-inch carbine. That's a lot of barrel cost.
Yeah.
So instead of spending a lot on each barrel, we spent a lot to bring barrel production in-house.
So you guys make barrels in-house now?
Yep. Bar stock.
So
like completed barrels.
Reaming, everything like that?
In the same building. Yep.
Wow. That's kind of amazing because, especially like during those COVID years, right? Like when everything was kind of chaotic, it was impossible to get stuff shipped overseas and everything. So you guys basically made the transition arguably at the worst time possible, right? But you're being driven through all this by the ATF because everyone's afraid, pistol braces were going to go off, but now it looks like we're kind of on the other side of that, where I should be able to take this maybe, hopefully in a year or less, and just slap a stock on it, right? No problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what's nice is that the market has changed. We're back to braces, having an adjustable brace. And that's what's handy about like these ones with the SBA3 is, you can purchase it as a pistol from us because we don't deal in NFA items.
Right.
And then, we have quick approval times. You can pull this right off, pop on your favorite Magpul, MFT, B5 stock you want.
So it is. So the rear, I guess the buffer tube is what we normally call it because there is no buffer in this thing. But the buffer tube is as a, I guess, mil spec buffer tube dimension, right?
For the outside.
For the outside, okay.
Yep.
Got it. Yeah. So you can't go in and stuff in anything in the back, or like that the normal firearms components.
Right. That's a key thing. Is sometimes people, it looks AR enough to them that they start to wonder, oh, can I put AR barrels, AR buffer tube, like start to swap those things out.
Right.
For this system, that wasn't the lane that we chose to go. It's our own system. Those parts they look similar, but the mounting is proprietary.
Right.
And that way we're just really able to guarantee the reliability because that's what our reputation lives and dies on.
Yeah, and you mentioned this to me yesterday actually because we were talking about it, and I was surprised to learn this. But your original trigger, I guess on the Gen 1 EP9 was all polymer as well, right?
Yeah.
And now you guys are using Schmid triggers, which I think is amazing because Schmid makes great triggers. But can you kind of describe the reason for that change?
Yeah, that happened. We developed a polymer fire control group, and that worked really well. Like under repetitive motion testing, there was far less wear over time than a mil spec trigger. That metal, those don't last forever. So, but we just realized we like to follow a lot of see the customer feedback. We're an online brand. We do everything direct to consumer. So then that's also how we're connecting with people. So we looked at the consumer base and we kind of saw what were all the things that people said you need to change out right away, or you can get it, but you need to fix this.
Right.
And we addressed all those. So a lot of people just, they didn't see problems with the polymer trigger, or just for peace of mind reasoning or feel, they wanted the metal. So we started including that. Yeah, we have, and it's such a vital part that we went with the most reputable and trusted manufacturer that we could find.
Yeah.
And we've been really happy with that. But the other things around the same time when we changed that we addressed was just with looks. That was when we introduced M-Lock, and then when we introduced the new muzzle device and having a tucked look. We wanted to keep up with the times, not fall behind. Yeah,
it's you guys are kind of doing your best to meet customer expectations and trends and wants and needs, but you guys are still selling all of these. So EP9, $400, right? $450.
Yep.
EP45. $550. Okay, and then now the 10 mil version. What are we looking at?
I'm guessing it'll be $650, maybe $600, but we'll see.
And is that just because you need more mass there to handle the hotter cartridge?
Yeah, with that one in particular, we have some special materials in the buffer just to get that extra. It's tungsten in the buffer to get that.
Okay, so we're getting real dense, really high quality materials here. Now it's not all, again, we talked about polymer. We've been talking about polymer for this entire interview, but they're using advanced. You guys are using good materials for these, right?
Absolutely, and all the steel components, we have a nice black nitride finish. We feel like that's just standard at this point. So that's always our thing. We go for quality, and that's on this EP10, we have 3 different patented mechanisms. So it's an affordable price point, but you're not sacrificing anything. You have our hold open, you have the soft shooting, And what we're really proud of is that hollow point compatibility in the large frame of like the 10 and 45. Yeah, so we found that early on, like that was part of the reason why the 9 was the first to launch. Like I said, the 45 was actually like what the receiver was built around.
Yeah.
But the 9 came out first because we started to run into this issue. I don't know how many other companies did too, because we have heard of a lot of people saying they would make a 45 and then it didn't come to market. So we suspected it was this hollow point issue because that's what we started to find. So we went back to the drawing board, worked on things, got our patents done, filed, all that.
Yeah.
For what we call our dynamic feed mechanism, where we really try to rethink it. Like I was showing you yesterday, we have something that is in the spot that a lot of people would think a feed ramp. But the point of a feed ramp, just like any ramp, is to get something straight up and over.
Right.
So we have a fork where it's more like 2 points, where we're launching the cartridge up into a cone that enters cone towards the chamber, so that the nose of the round hits the cone and corrects to being perfectly straight. So like in the 45, which is larger diameter than the 10,
right,
we can shoot wad cutters. It can, like
basically flat nose bullets.
Flat nose bullets. It can chamber them no problem.
Wow,
with that mechanism.
That's pretty impressive. And again, it's cool to see a company like you guys, like on the budget end of the spectrum, which is completely 100% American. Like all these guns are made here in the United States with American workers, American materials, all that stuff, like design team and everything. So it's cool to see that happen. And then of course we also get more than just 9mm. We're getting 45 ACP and now 10 mil. Any hope for more pistol calibers down the road?
What I can say is, you're not done seeing from us, and we have found that the pistol caliber seems to be a niche that's working with or for us really well.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue with this niche. You will be seeing new things come down the road. Might be new calibers or it might be new features. We'll see.
That's a hell of a tease, Josh. So thank you so much, Josh, for showing us the EP10, the EP45, EP9, big fan of them. So thank you so much for showing us them.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And guys, thank you for tuning in to TFBTV and TFBTV Showtime. Stay tuned for more from GunCon 2025.